Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of the Mastermind Book Club. In this session, we are reviewing part three of the China study. Part 3 of 3. The author is Colin Campbell PhD. This is a book that is amazing. A lot of information in there, a little bit technical for some, but it really is up Reggie and my alley. So I'd like to call on Mr. Reggie Hilliard to give his review / summary of this book.
Hello, everyone. Dave and I are representing the remainder of the group who are here in the book club this week, and this is the third installment of this book, the China Study. Just going to kind of rehash or really speak to what the book is, which is essentially talking about the compelling argument around a plant-based diet. And it's so compelling, and every study that was done and that the book chronicles speaks to the fact that, or not even speaks to the fact, gives results where every plant-based study was such that the participants either improved in their health or necessarily didn't have certain ailments that came through those who actually had diets that were more heavily based in plant protein, not plant protein, but animal protein. So this was study after study after study after study after study, right? So that's not you would have to say that's irrefutable in terms of being able to argue against the fact that this plant-based diet is what is most beneficial to us. And can you do animal-based diets? Yes, but it comes with a potential consequence, especially if you consume a lot of the animal protein. So there are other ways around it. It doesn't speak to in the book that you can kind of ward off the effect of that. But the reality is that the plant-based diet is your best bet in terms of having a certain health that is a high level health, such that you are avoiding various ailments such as hypertension and diabetes and heart disease, which is the number one killer, right? And this stuff doesn't just come about through happenstance. It happens to come through, and the studies talk about as well, through environmental. And environmental usually just comes down to not only, but predominantly comes down to what you're eating. So if you really want to sort of like make a change in your life in terms of how your health is, especially if you may be already impacted in some way adversely because of your diet, you would benefit from taking on a plant-based diet and try it out and see for yourself. It's up to you, but try it out, or at least shift downward from the animal proteins to more of the plants and see how that translates in your life. But this book is definitely strongly convincing us that this is the best way for us.
Thank you, Reggie Hilliard. This is a very, very interesting book, just as Reggie mentioned. And yes, it is about health, about the studies done on health. I'd say the last studies that this book talks about is the early 2000, the start of the millennia, the new millennia. And the reality is that however you look at life, that's just the way it's going to be. But did you know that there are people who, when they're told if you inherit this ailment, they believe that nothing can be done? And this book refutes that. It says that even though you have these genes to cancer, have the genes to diabetes, have the genes for asthma, and so on and so on forth and so on, you can still reverse it if you apply your mental state as well as your eating habits, the environment, as well as the dietary factors that you implement can change your life. That's what this book talks about. It talks about cancer and how, most women have high estrogen when cancer is prevalent in certain areas. That's just to name one. Or it talks about how obesity is in children now, when obesity used to be an adult thing. Well, I mean, it's probably inherited, but it doesn't have to always be that way. My family has a background of heart attacks, of asthma, high blood pressure, cholesterol, and I refute to say that that is the end of me. No, I changed that many years ago. And the reality is this book is one of those books that I picked up about 15 years ago or more, and it changed my life. So this is my second around at this book. Reggie, would you like to say anything else before we end this?
You hit a lot of those points. I was actually going to mention something that you spoke to. What was it? Well, one thing you said about changing the course of, so like some people say things run in their family, and I like to say, well, they can run right out. You talked about like cancers and things like that. Like there's a propensity to have that because it's in the genes supposedly. But the thing about it, the book was speaking to the fact that like those issues with like getting cancer or getting cancer is like maybe like 3% is genetic. So as you talked about environmental, like how you can shift it, what you do environmentally, and environmentally has to do with like how you eat and other factors. So you have a strong, a very, you have a lot of say in the matter, and it's just a matter of whether or not you actually going to do what's necessary to ward off or to keep those things, cancers and other conditions, elements away. And it really is going to also come down to your mindset because if you don't believe it, you're not going to do anything about it. But if you believe it and you take action, you can see the results of your action and where you can keep yourself in good health. And if you ever went down a path of bad health, you can reverse it. So those are certainly truths. And it's just a matter of the individual to take it upon themselves to to change their attitude, change their mindset toward it, and then actually put into practice the thing that's going to help them to get themselves to the right place in terms of their health and so on, and whatever else it is that they're trying to improve.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, that's the truth. So this is our summary for this book. This ends our summary for this book. We highly recommend it, but it is a bit technical for some people. It has a lot of important information, but it depends on you what you like. So this is the Mastermind Book Club. Before we sign off, just want to say I'm picking up this next book from T. Colin. I don't. Geez, I'm having a hard time showing you the title here. Let's see if I can see it. There we go. That's T. Colin Campbell's other book, and there are a lot of people who've changed their eating habits because of this book. So I'm going to read into it. It's a pretty good book. I bought the hardcover because I like these books. Thank you. And this is about 5 or 6 years we've been on this Mastermind Book Club, and we're still moving forward. All right, marching forward. Take care, and many more blessings to you and your family.